The system ordered me to kiss the aloof female CEO within 3 days, or I would suffer the punishment of electric shock. I immediately dialed the official hotline. Hello, I want to turn in an extraterrestrial technology system. I thought I would be free, but instead, I was invited into a top-secret laboratory. The chief patted my shoulder. The organization has decided that you must complete this conquest mission and get the system's reward. I was groveling to a client under the blazing sun. Ding! Conquest system successfully bound. Now issuing the first mission. Kiss Su Yuaning, the CEO of Shanghai Technology Group, within 72 hours. Mission success. Reward of a beginner-level physique enhancement formula. Mission failure. Electric shock punishment. Note, may cause disability. I froze on the bustling street, holding the proposal that the client had thrown in my face. The 38-degree heat startlingly drenched me in a cold sweat. The system wants me to kiss Su Yuaning, that CEO of Shanghai Technology who frequently appears on the front page of financial magazines, who is as beautiful as a goddess but cold enough to freeze a polar bear, and who is always accompanied by 8 bodyguards in black. What kind of hooligan system is this? I can't even touch the revolving door of her company building before the security guards beat me to a pulp. And failure means electric shock. Are you kidding me? A wave of anger shot up to my head. I, Lin Feng, am poor and live a life worse than a dog's. I'm trampled on by my boss and given a hard time by clients every day, acting like a spineless coward just for next month's rent. But I haven't stooped so low as to be controlled by some unknown entity to commit a crime. The origin of this thing is definitely not normal. Rather than being toyed with to death by it, or really losing my mind and committing a crime, I'd rather. I took out my phone, ignoring the system's cold warnings in my head. Gritting my teeth, I dialed a number. The number that was printed in the most conspicuous position on the community bulletin board. The one that was guaranteed to be available at any time. The call was answered almost instantly. Hello, how can I help you? It was a steady male voice on the other end. I took a deep breath. Hello? I want to turn something in. Please go on. I seem to have been bound by an extraterrestrial technology system, and it's forcing me to commit a crime. The system's alarm in my head grew sharper, like an awl piercing into my brain. It's called the Conquest System, and it's making me kiss Su Yuaning, the CEO of Shanghai Technology. If I don't complete it, it will electrocute me. Every word I'm saying is true. I swear on my life. There was a brief silence on the other end of the line. I thought the other party had hung up on me, thinking I was a lunatic. Then the steady male voice spoke again. Please remain where you are and provide your current location. Special agents will arrive within 10 minutes. I quickly gave him my specific location. Warning: the host's behavior is a serious violation. Initiating level 1 electric shock punishment. The system's voice became shrill. My vision suddenly went black, and my muscles instantly tensed and contorted. An indescribable pain and numbness shot through every nerve. It was as if countless red-hot needles were being stabbed into the cracks of my bones and then stirred around. I let out a muffled groan and knelt, curled up on the scorching ground. My phone slipped from my grasp and fell. The veins on my forehead bulged, and cold sweat instantly soaked my shirt. 10 minutes. Can I even last for 10 minutes? Just as I felt my consciousness was about to be scattered by the electricity, a black SUV pulled over to the side of the road. The doors opened, and 2 burly men jumped out. They moved quickly, one on each side. They directly supported me, who was almost limp, and picked up my phone and the documents scattered on the ground. The next second, I was stuffed into the car. The car door closed, blocking the view from outside. With a low roar of the engine, the car smoothly and quickly merged into the traffic. Mr. Lin Feng, a man in the front passenger seat, who seemed to be the leader, turned his head. I was slumped in the back seat, still twitching uncontrollably, my teeth chattering as I nodded. He handed me a bottle of water. Have some water. Try to relax. We have confirmed an abnormal energy fluctuation. You are safe now. I gulped down some water. The water flowing down my burning throat brought back a little of my senses. The air conditioning in the car made me shiver. The car didn't take me to any official department I recognized. Instead, after many twists and turns, it entered a hidden underground facility in the suburbs. A series of heavy metal doors slid open and then closed. There were checkpoints everywhere requiring fingerprint and iris verification. People in white lab coats or combat uniforms hurried past. I was taken into a pure white room where soft light shone down from the ceiling. There was nothing in the room except for a table and 2 chairs in the middle. The system in my head, perhaps because of the special environment here, had actually gone quiet. The deadly sensation of electric shock had also disappeared. Before I could recover, the door opened. A middle-aged man in a Zhongshan suit, with his hair neatly combed, exuding a calm and imposing aura, walked in. Following him were 2 old men in glasses who looked like top-tier researchers at a glance. The man in the Zhongshan suit sat across from me, his gaze calm. "Comrade Linfeng, hello. My surname is Zhang. We have preliminarily verified the information you provided. Now we need your cooperation to give us a more detailed explanation." I repeated every word from the system, including the missions, rewards, and punishments. They brought all sorts of sophisticated instruments I had never seen before and connected them to various parts of my body. The old man, addressed as Academician Chun, stared at the screen, transmitting real-time data, his eyes growing brighter and brighter. He muttered to himself, "Incredible. The energy structure is beyond our cognition. This technological gap." Chief Zhang listened in silence the entire time, occasionally asking a key question or two. All the tests and questioning concluded. Chief Zhang whispered a few instructions to the person beside him, then turned to me with a gentle smile. "Comrade Linfeng, thank you for your trust and cooperation. You have made a very correct decision, one that may change the fate of our country." My heart was just about to settle back into my chest. I thought the next step would be to remove this damn system and then maybe give me a good citizen medal or something. But the chief's next words struck me like a bolt from the blue. After deliberation by the expert panel and approval from the highest levels, the organization has decided that you need to continue carrying out the missions issued by this system. I suspected there was something wrong with my ears. "What? Chief, you're asking me to actually go and forcibly kiss Su Yuaning? No way. That's hooliganism. It's a crime. Besides, her bodyguards will beat me to death." "Calm down, Comrade Linfeng." Chief Zhang made a calming gesture with both hands. "We're not asking you to commit a real crime. We can discuss the form in which the mission is completed because the system's rewards are of paramount importance to us. The beginner's physique enhancement fluid you mentioned, and based on the fragment from the system's database, the potential future involvement of materials science, energy, and even the preliminary theories of interstellar travel technology are the keys to our national rejuvenation and soaring national strength." My mouth hung open, feeling a bit lost. The chief stood up, walked over to me, and clapped my shoulder firmly. "Comrade Linfeng, the system is an unknown high-dimensional technology, and you are currently the only forward sentinel we can access. You are not fighting alone. Behind you is the support of the entire nation's power. What you need to do is to play the role of the host well, using the system's rules to obtain vital technology and knowledge for us." He looked at me, his eyes burning. "As for how to complete the missions and all the difficulties encountered in the process, we will plan and cover for you. Every reward you obtain from completing a mission is needed by the country for research and application, understand?" I slumped in my chair, my mind a complete blank. Is this asking me to be 007? But I just want to get rid of this damn thing. National rejuvenation, soaring national strength. These words were too big, too heavy, pressing down on me so hard I could barely breathe. Yet for some reason, they also made my blood boil a little. I'm not some great and righteous person. I'm just a corporate drone. But it seemed I really couldn't refuse. The goddamn system in my head, as if it had detected the command to continue the mission, came back to life. Time remaining until mission deadline. 59 hours, 38 minutes, 12 seconds. The cold countdown was like a guillotine hanging over my head. I looked at the chief's expectant gaze. What the hell is all this struggle, fear, a hint of inexplicable excitement, and immense pressure, all jumbled together? Finally, I licked my lips. How does the organization plan to help me complete this mission? The chief gave a profound smile. An expert team will liaise with you on the details. Half an hour later, I was sitting in a strategic analysis room, facing a huge projection screen. On it was Sue Euning's detailed schedule, along with a combat capability assessment of her bodyguard team. A combat expert with a stern expression, codenamed Mountain Eagle, stood beside the screen. The target will attend the ribbon-cutting ceremony for her new energy lab tomorrow at 3 p.m. This is the best opportunity for contact. Our plan is to use a potential controllable chaos at the scene to create a brief window of contact. Comrade Linfong, what you need to do is... I listened dumbfounded. You can play it like this? Can this really work? My voice was shaky. Theoretically, it is feasible, Mountain Eagle said rigorously. In practice, it requires you to overcome your instincts and execute every micro-movement with precision. We will conduct emergency simulation training. And so, for the next few hours, I repeated the movements hundreds of times. The afternoon of the ribbon-cutting ceremony. In the square in front of the Star C building, colorful flags fluttered. Media and guests gathered, and well-dressed socialites chatted and laughed. I blended into the invited media area. Pinned to my collar was a miniature high-definition camera. Tucked in my ear was a nearly invisible microcommunicator. All units, final confirmation. Mountain Eagle's calm voice came through the earpiece. Position 1 ready. Position 2 ready. Public opinion team ready. Lin Feng, report status. Mountain Eagle called my name. I took a deep breath. I watched the figure in the distance, surrounded by a crowd, walking towards the ribbon-cutting spot. Sue Yuning was dressed in a sharp white suit dress. She was tall with a powerful aura. She was stunningly beautiful. Lin Feng, Mountain Eagle confirmed again. I swallowed hard and lowered my voice. Ready. Proceed as planned. 3, 2, 1. Move. To the side and behind the guests' seating area, someone in a waiter's uniform seemed to trip on something. The tray in his hands, along with a tall stack of champagne glasses on it, tilted and fell towards Sue Yuning. Ah! Gasps erupted from the crowd. The bodyguards reacted instantly, shielding Sue Yuning as they pulled her back. Wearing high heels, Sue Yuning was caught off guard by the splashing champagne and the sudden backward surge of the crowd. Her body swayed, her feet slipped, and she lost her balance, stumbling backward and to the side. I dashed to her side and behind her, reaching out to steady her. My movements looked urgent, even a bit clumsy, like a well-intentioned but fumbling bystander trying to help. At the instant Sue Yuning's body tilted to a certain angle, I turned sideways to avoid her potentially bumping into me, while at the same time, my arm flailed upwards in a panic. It all happened in a flash. To any onlooker, it was just an accidental slip, a kind person rushing to help, only to bungle it in the chaos. The next second, a soft feeling pressed against my lips for an extremely brief moment. So short it felt like an illusion. A flash of astonishment crossed Sue Yuning's cool, clear eyes. Her slightly dilated pupils reflected my panicked face. Almost simultaneously, a large hand grabbed my arm violently. The immense force squeezed so hard my bones ached. Sue Yuning's bodyguard had a fierce look in his eyes. Another bodyguard immediately stepped between Sue Yuning and me. The scene erupted in commotion. The reporters frantically snapped photos of us. President Sue, are you all right? What's going on? Let me go. I didn't do it on purpose. I was just trying to help. I immediately got into character, struggling. Inside, I was screaming frantically, System. Has it registered? Was it a success? Say something, damn it. There was only silence in my head. Fuck, no way. Did I fail? Was the angle wrong? Am I going to be electrocuted to a crisp? Did the state apparatus mess up too? Just as the bodyguard was about to twist my arm off, the system's notification sound finally chimed. Congratulations, host. Mission complete. Mission evaluation. C rank. Low completion rate. Contact time too short. Target's emotional feedback extremely poor. Reward issued. Formula for the primary physique enhancement liquid and its related production process. The next stage of the mission will be issued in 24 hours. Please be prepared, host. Success. A sense of post-disaster exhaustion instantly washed over me. My legs went weak, and I nearly collapsed to my knees. Mountain Eagle's voice came through my earpiece. Mission complete. Execute extraction plan. The next second, several people in security uniforms quickly pushed their way in, separating me from the bodyguard who was still twisting my arm. Excuse me, sir. Please come with us to explain the situation. With the on-site security, under their protection, I was led away from the center of the chaos. I was quickly escorted from the scene and pushed into an inconspicuous car. The car drove smoothly towards the underground base. Sitting once again in that pure white room, I held a cup of hot tea handed to me by the logistics team, my hand still trembling uncontrollably. The door opened, and Chief Zhang strode in, his face flushed with excitement. Following behind him was the equally excited academician Chun. Good. A beautiful job, Comrade Lin Feng. The chief clapped me firmly on the shoulder. The primary physique enhancement liquid, the complete formula and production process. The expert team's initial analysis says this thing can improve a person's basic physical qualities by more than 30%, with no side effects. What does this mean? Do you realize? I stared blankly at academician Chun. The old academician rushed to the computer on the desk and pulled up the data. This is true life science. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. The applications. Athletes, astronauts, a leap in the entire population's physical fitness. The technological value is immeasurable. Watching the two bigwigs lose their composure, I felt a thrill of excitement myself. New mission issued. Within 72 hours, spend at least 1 hour alone with the target. Su Yuaning, location restricted to a sealed, private space. And increase her favorability score towards the host to 10 points. Current favorability, -50. Mission success. Reward. Complete technical data for the initial version of the superconducting battery. Mission failure. Randomly strips the host of one bodily function. Sight/hearing/speech. Me? The water cup in my hand fell to the floor, splashing hot water everywhere. A favorability of -50, an hour alone, and in a sealed, private space? I looked up at Chief Zhang and academician Chun. The excitement not yet faded from their faces. Chief academician, a new mission has arrived. The reward this time is a superconducting battery. Chief Zhang and academician Chun exchanged a look, their expressions turning serious. Explain in detail. How much? -50. Chief Zhang's brow furrowed tightly. Academician Chun adjusted his glasses, his tone heavy. According to behavioral psychology models, a favorability score of -50 signifies extreme aversion, vigilance, and may even be accompanied by a tendency for active aggression. To spend an hour alone, and in an enclosed space, raising it to 10 points. The difficulty is... The reward is the superconducting battery, the complete technology, I said, my face a mask of despair. And if I fail, it will randomly strip me of a bodily function, sight or hearing. The joy from just obtaining the enhancement formula was shattered by this new hell-level mission. Smack! Chief Zhang slammed his palm on the table. Outrageous. This system is simply asking for the impossible. But he quickly suppressed his anger. The mission details. Repeat them, word for word. I didn't dare to delay, and quickly recited the system's prompt verbatim. Is the superconducting battery room temperature or low temperature? Academician Chun, no longer concerned with the favorability score, asked breathlessly. The system didn't specify the type, only that it's the superconducting battery initial version, plus the complete technical data, I answered honestly. Initial version. Even if it's a low-temperature superconductor, its energy density and charge-discharge efficiency would be enough to subvert the entire existing energy system. Academician Chen looked excitedly at Chief Zhang. Old Zhang, we have to get this technology. We must. I know its importance. Chief Zhang paced the room with a grave expression. But the prerequisite is completing this damn mission. A favorability of -50. An hour alone in an enclosed space. That's even more ridiculous than infiltrating this place to steal documents. He stopped abruptly and looked at me. Lin Feng, what level do you think Su Yuaning's impression of you is at right now? I recalled those cold eyes and shivered. She probably thinks I'm a pervert who took advantage of the chaos, or a corporate spy with ulterior motives. The kind of level where she'd want to kill me and throw me into a vat of sulfuric acid. Chief Zhang. Academician Chun. Expert teams. Convene an emergency meeting immediately. intelligence analysis, behavioral psychology, operations planning, public opinion control. Everyone, assemble in strategy room 1 in 10 minutes. 10 minutes later, I was once again sitting in the strategy analysis room. There were several windows on the screen. The one on the right was for real-time public opinion monitoring. This afternoon's news had already begun to ferment. Hashtag Star Ocean Urban Cutting Accident. Hashtag Mysterious Man Saves Beauty only to be suspected of harassment. Hashtag Suing Attack. Hashtag the topics were rapidly gaining heat. Most of the discussion was about the on-site security flaws, expressing sympathy for CEO Sue being frightened. A small number expressed their speechlessness at me, the clumsy but well-intentioned passerby. But it hadn't escalated to the level of malicious harassment. The hand of the state is truly formidable. A female psychologist with glasses and a serious expression spoke. Based on Sue Ewing's past experiences, she has an extreme aversion to uncontrollable accidents and approaches with clear objectives. Mr. Lin Feng's actions this afternoon violated both of these points. The -50 favorability assessment is reasonable. Conventional apologies, explanations, or exchanges of benefits would likely be counterproductive at this stage and would further intensify her aversion and vigilance. So what do we do? You can't expect me to just charge into her office, can you? I couldn't help but ask. A hard approach is absolutely not an option, said the operations expert, Shanning. The security level on the top floor of the Star Ocean Tower is extremely high. The success rate of a forced entry is less than 0.1%. And the consequences are unbearable. The meeting reached a stalemate. Was I going to fail right at the start? Was I going to become blind or mute? Just then, an analyst who had been staring at Sue Ewing's schedule and social network map suddenly looked up. Chief, there is a way. Speak. According to intelligence, Sue Ewing's grandfather, Old Master Su Jinyue, will be hosting a small, private birthday banquet at the Su family's old residence tomorrow night. Sue Ewing deeply respects her grandfather and will definitely attend. The Su family's old residence. Chief Zhang's gaze narrowed. The security there is handled by in-house bodyguards. Although they're professional, there are more loopholes compared to the Shanghai Tower. Moreover, it's a residential environment, which is more conducive to creating opportunities for contact. But how do we get into the Su family's old residence? The guest list is bound to be strict. I express my doubt. Old Master Su Jinyue joined the army in his early years and founded Shanghai after retiring. Another intelligence analyst chimed in. In his later years, he has taken a liking to collecting old artifacts with marks of a special era, especially those related to his time as a soldier. Chief Zhang's eyes lit up. Immediately pull up the collection catalog from the museum and the logistics department. Find an item that suits Old Master Su's tastes, has enough significance, and can plausibly allow our man to enter the banquet under the guise of presenting a gift or for an appraisal. An hour later, a list was presented. Chief Zhang's gaze fell on one item, and he tapped his finger on it firmly. This is it, an honor banner from the Sharp Knife Company that Old Master Su served in. For historical reasons, it has been kept in secret and never publicly displayed. Old Master Su has been searching for this banner for nearly 20 years. Lin Feng, your new identity is a young officer from a subordinate classified unit. You have been entrusted by your superiors to specially hand over this historically significant battle banner on the occasion of Old Master Su's birthday. Because the department involved cannot be disclosed, your trip will be low-key, and you will go alone. I was dumbfounded. Will this work? I don't know anything about this. The background information, points of caution, the department's internal code of conduct, and secret phrases will all be taught to you in the next few hours. You're there to deliver the banner. Old Master Su will surely be incredibly moved and will very likely ask you to stay for the banquet. Or, at the very least, have you stay for a cup of tea to rest. What about Sue Ewing? She'll be there. This is your only opportunity to approach her plausibly. The psychologist pushed up his glasses. What you need to do is play the part of a low-key, composed officer representing a secret department. Do not proactively approach her. Maintain an appropriate distance. The core of your mission is to reduce her negative feelings, not to immediately increase her favorability. As long as you can prevent her from developing new negative emotions towards you and maintain contact for an hour, it will be a victory. I asked, then what about raising the favorability to 10 points? That's a matter for the next step. First, ensure you can stay and get through the hours safely, Chief Zhang said. After the meeting, I was surrounded by a group of experts. A history expert gave me a crash course on the history of the battle behind the banner and the heroic deeds of the company. An etiquette expert taught me how to carry myself appropriately, neither obsequiously nor arrogantly. An intelligence expert taught me some basic information and potential conversation topics. There was also a micro-expression management expert who trained me on how to control my gaze and subtle facial expressions to avoid revealing any flaws. I felt like my head was about to explode. It was 100 times more exhausting than cramming for the college entrance exams. Time remaining until mission deadline. 62 hours, 17 minutes. The system's countdown timer rang out like a death knell. The next evening, a black sedan dropped me off outside the Su family's old residence. I took a deep breath, carrying a metal storage case. Inside lay the neatly folded battle banner, covered in bullet holes and the traces of time. I was wearing a dark Zhongshan suit. Pinned to my chest was an emblem that did not reveal any specific department. I rang the doorbell and stated my name and purpose. The iron gate opened, and an old butler led me inside. The interior of the residence was of a Chinese style, understated and dignified. There were already some guests in the living room, mostly elderly men of a similar age to Old Master Su, or composed-looking middle-aged individuals. Su Yuning was indeed there. She was wearing a chi pao, which further accentuated her slender figure. She was accompanying a spirited, rosy-cheeked, white-haired old man. That must be Old Master Su Jinhua. The butler stepped forward and reported in a low voice. Old Master Su was first puzzled. Then, as if remembering something, he shot up from his seat, forgetting even to grab his cane. He strode over in a few steps, his voice trembling. You are that banner. I stood at attention and bowed slightly. In a calm and practiced tone, I said, "Hello, Old Master Su. Under orders from my superiors, I am here to specially transfer the honor banner of the Sharp Knife Company to you. My superiors said it would be more meaningful for it to be returned to its rightful owner." I opened the storage case and carefully unfolded the tattered battle banner. Old Master Su's eyes instantly reddened. With trembling fingers, he gently caressed the bullet holes and frayed edges of the banner, his lips quivering as he muttered some indistinct names and battle code names. The surrounding elderly men also gathered around, their expressions moved and solemn. Su Yuning walked over as well. Her attention was first captured by the battle banner, a look of reverence in her eyes. Then her gaze fell on my face. Her beautiful eyebrows knitted together instantly. The surprise in her eyes quickly turned into a cold, scrutinizing gaze. Remembering the expert team's words, I met her gaze calmly and gave a slight nod. Then I immediately returned my attention to Elder Su, carefully explaining the history behind the battle flag. My performance perfectly matched the image of a calm and low-key department officer who was only here to carry out mission. Elder Su was incredibly moved, gripping my hand tightly. Good child. Thank you. Thank the organization. This birthday gift is too much, this old man. He choked up, unable to continue. Elder Su, you're too kind. It's what we ought to do. I replied humbly. Stay, you must stay. Leave after the banquet is over. Let me thank you properly. Elder Su insisted, pulling me along without taking no for an answer. This is against the rules, Elder Su. My mission was just to deliver the item. I declined according to the script. What's with all these rules? Xiao Ning. Elder Su turned his head to Su Yuning. Arrange a seat for Officer Lin, right at the main table. Su Yuning's cold gaze swept across my face. Her eyes were still full of suspicion. But faced with her grandfather's request, she ultimately said nothing. She simply replied, "Yes, grandfather." I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Step 1, a success. The banquet began, and I was seated next to Elder Su. Directly across from me was Su Yuning. This seat had me on pins and needles. Throughout the entire banquet, I kept to my role. I quietly listened to Elder Su and the other elders reminisce about the past. Only when asked about the department or the flag's history did I answer cautiously, with proper wording and a respectful attitude. Su Yuning hardly spoke. She would occasionally exchange a few words with the elders, her demeanor elegant. But she avoided all eye contact and interaction with me the entire time, as if I were thin air. Her -50 favorability score towards me, while not dropping further, showed no signs of increasing either. Time ticked by second. Hint: time spent alone can be accumulated. After the banquet, the guests moved to the tea room and garden to continue chatting. Elder Su held my hand, still in high spirits. "Officer Lin, come, accompany this old man to the study for tea and a good chat." Shouting, "You come too and make tea for us." My heart leaped with joy. A study counts as a private space, right? Su Yuning glanced at me, the resistance in her eyes almost overflowing, but in the end, she still nodded. "Okay, grandfather." The three of us walked into the study. The antique mahogany door closed softly, shutting out the sounds from outside. Elder Su pulled me to sit on the sofa and enthusiastically continued asking questions. I struggled to keep up, relying on the knowledge I had crammed at the last minute. Su Yuning sat quietly to one side. Skillfully, she boiled the water, warmed the cups, rinsed the tea leaves, and steeped the tea. Her movements possessed a certain beauty. The fragrance of tea curled upwards. I had to do something. I couldn't just waste time. Otherwise, when the time was up, if the favorability hadn't changed, the mission would still be judged a failure. When Elder Su got up to look for an old photo album, only Su Yuning and I were left in the study. The air was very quiet. There was only the faint hum of the kettle boiling water. I took a deep breath and looked at Su Yuning. "CEO Su." She raised her eyes, her gaze cold and wary. "The accident at the ribbon-cutting ceremony this afternoon." My tone was sincere and full of apology. "I'm terribly sorry. The situation was chaotic, and I was only trying to help, but I ended up making things worse and causing a misunderstanding. I'm truly sorry for the trouble I caused you." This was the strategy designed by the psychology team, to bring it up proactively, defining it as an accident and a clumsy misunderstanding, to try and reduce her negative feelings. Su Yuning looked at me, her beautiful eyes showing no flicker of emotion. After a few seconds, she spoke faintly. For Officer Lin to coincidentally appear there, and to coincidentally help in that particular way, is indeed very surprising. She deliberately stressed the word coincidentally, making no effort to hide her suspicion. Target favorability, -52, it dropped by 2 points. Apologizing and made it drop? This woman is impossible. A thin layer of sweat broke out on my back. Just then, Elder Su returned with the photo album, sitting down with a chuckle. Found it. Officer Lin, look, these are my brothers from the old dagger company." I temporarily suppressed my anxiety and played along, looking at the photos with Elder Su and listening to him talk about those years of war. Time was still passing. Su Yuning handed me a freshly brewed cup of tea. I reached out to take it. I don't know if it was because of nervousness or something else, but my fingers accidentally brushed against hers. She snatched her hand back instantly, as if she'd been shocked. She lost her grip on the cup, and it was about to tip over. "Careful," I exclaimed softly. My other hand shot out instinctively, steadily catching the bottom of the cup in midair. A few drops of scalding tea splashed onto the web of my thumb, stinging with pain. Is this the effect of the primary physique enhancement solution? To complete the mission, the organization allowed me to drink a little of the enhancement solution. My nerve reaction speed has significantly improved. Su Yuning didn't expect me to catch it. A trace of surprise flashed in her eyes. Old Man Su was startled. "Oh my, are you all right?" "Officer Lin, your hand." "It's nothing, Old Man Su, just a little water." I quickly put down the teacup and shook my hand, feigning nonchalance. The web of my hand was already a little red. Su Yuning looked at my hand, her lips moving slightly as if she wanted to say something. But in the end, she just got an ice pack and silently handed it to me. "Thank you." I took the ice pack. Target favorability, -45. It went up. Great. Was it because of my agile move that prevented her from getting scalded? Or because I didn't make a fuss after getting burned? I gave Su Yuning a wry smile. "It seems I'm a bit clumsy. I've made a fool of myself in front of CEO Su." She picked up the teapot again, her voice less icy. "Officer Lin, Don't worry about it. I stopped initiating conversation and instead focused on chatting with Old Man Sue. When Old Man Sue mentioned amusing anecdotes from Sue Ewing's childhood, I smiled appropriately, never crossing any lines. Target favorability, -43. The favorability is still far from enough. I was burning with anxiety inside, but I had to maintain a calm expression. Old Man Sue began to show a bit of fatigue. I immediately and tactfully stood up. Old Man Sue, it's getting late. I won't disturb your rest any longer. The war banner has been delivered, and it's time for me to report back. Although reluctant to see me go, Old Man Sue nodded. All right, Officer Lin, thank you so much for today. Ning, see Officer Lin out for me. Sue Ewing stood up and nodded slightly. Officer Lin, this way, please. She and I walked out of the study, one after the other, through the quiet corridor. Condition: 1 hour spent alone together met. Current target favorability, -43. Mission failed. Favorability did not reach 10 points. Commencing random deprivation of one of the host's bodily functions. It's over. I instantly felt as if I had been plunged into an ice cave, my limbs turning cold. Will it be my sight or my hearing? Just then, Sue Ewing, who was walking half a step ahead, suddenly stopped and turned around. The soft light of the corridor outlined her perfect profile. She spoke softly. Officer Lin, thank you for today. Grandpa hasn't been this happy in a long time. Based on concern for her relative and perception of her grandfather's joy, the target has made a slight positive revision to her evaluation of the host. Target favorability, -40. Judgment, 10 points not reached, but a continuous upward trend in favorability was detected during the mission, and the final value is higher than the initial value of -50 upon accepting the mission. According to Hidden System Rule No. 7, Evaluating Mission Completion. Evaluation passed. Mission considered complete. Reward issued. Superconducting battery initial version. Full set of technical data has been transmitted to the host's brain. The next stage of the mission will be issued in 48 hours. I passed. I actually passed. Because of the upward trend and being higher than the initial value, there's a hidden rule like this. The team of experts analysis was correct. This system really does have loopholes to exploit. An immense sense of ecstasy and exhaustion washed over me simultaneously. The shirt on my back was completely soaked with sweat. Officer Lin, Sue Ewing noticed my daze and asked quizzically. I suppressed my swirling emotions and said with a smile, You're too kind, Sue. It's my honor to be able to make Old Man Sue happy. Please don't see me out. I'll take my leave now. I walked out the main gate of the Sue family's old mansion and got into the waiting car. After the car left the Sue family's property, I collapsed into the back seat, gasping for air. It felt like I had just clawed my way back from the gates of hell. Back at the secret base, Chief Zhang was ecstatic. Well done, Lin Feng. The technical data has been received, and preliminary verification shows no errors. You performed a great service. I grinned, before I could even catch my breath. 2 days later, within 36 hours, obtain the target Sue Ewing's private contact information, including but not limited to mobile phone number, private email, social media accounts, etc., and successfully conduct one brief, non-work-related conversation, duration greater than 1 minute. Mission success. Reward neural interface microcontrol technology, basic theory. Mission failure. Host wealth value will be permanently reset to 0, including but not limited to cash, savings, real estate, future earnings, and all other forms of wealth. Me. I just teetered back and forth on the edge of being deaf and blind, and this damn system won't give me a moment's peace, obtain private contact information, and also have a brief, non-work-related conversation. I covered my face and sighed in despair. Chief, another mission has come. This time it's neural interface microcontrol technology. If I fail, I'll have to live on welfare for the rest of my life. Neural interface microcontrol? Are you sure that's the name? His voice was so excited it cracked. That's what the system says. Convene a top-level meeting immediately. Hurry. This thing is more important than superconducting batteries. It's strategic level. We must obtain it, no matter what. The details? In the conference room, the chief asked directly. I repeated the new mission with a wooden expression. Neural interface microcontrol. It really is that. Academician Chen's breathing quickened. Once this technology is achieved, its significance will far surpass superconducting batteries. It's directly related to brain science, prosthetic control, and even a revolution in combat systems. This mission, only success is permitted. Failure is not an option. Chief Zhang stared at me, his gaze pressing down like two mountains. It's not just for the technology, but also for you. Wealth reset to 0. We've seen what the system is capable of. It can definitely do it. I asked weakly, but how do I do it? I just managed to raise her favorability score a tiny bit, from -50 to -40. And now I'm supposed to turn around and ask for her personal number? And I have to talk about non-work-related things? How is that any different from telling her directly that I have ulterior motives? Wouldn't she just drop my favorability score straight to -100? A direct approach certainly won't work, a calm female voice interjected. The behavioral psychology expert walked to the front of the screen. Su Yuaning's personal contact information has an extremely high security level. It's impossible to obtain through conventional means. An analysis of Su Yuaning's daily behavioral patterns and communication habits scrolled quickly across the screen. We must create a scenario that is perfectly reasonable, impossible to refuse, and even requires her to offer her contact information proactively. Shanning crossed his arms. The conversation must be non-work related. That increases the difficulty. The meeting fell into silence. To consecutively design two seamless coincidences to approach a highly vigilant target. The difficulty level was simply hellish. Time remaining until mission deadline. 35 hours, 48 minutes. The system's countdown whipped at everyone's heart like a lash. The intelligence officer, who had been engrossed in analyzing data, suddenly looked up. We've intercepted a fragment of a civilian communication sent by Su Yuaning's assistant half an hour ago regarding tomorrow afternoon's schedule. She was originally scheduled to visit the City Art Museum for a touring exhibition of a French Impressionist painter, but the contact person was suddenly hospitalized with acute appendicitis, so the appointment might be canceled. Chief Zhang narrowed his eyes. Impressionist? Which painter? Intelligence officer. That needs further confirmation. Chief Zhang looked at me. Lin Feng, how much do you know about Impressionist painting? My face was a mask of confusion. Huh? I only know Van Gogh, and I always mix him up with Picasso. Chief, you can't be serious. I don't know anything about that. If you don't know, then learn now. Expert team, organize a crash course immediately. Cram all the background of the exhibition's works, the artist's life, the artistic characteristics, and most importantly, the pretentious connoisseurship terminology into his head as fast as possible. He looked at Shan Ying and the psychology expert. Planning team, based on the art museum environment, formulate a plan immediately. Create a chance encounter, a natural conversation, that ultimately leads to an exchange of contact information. It must be absolutely natural. I was led into a room. Two of the country's top art history professors, speaking at lightning speed, drilled me on Monet's fragmented light and shadow, Renoir's joyful colors, and how beautiful Degasse's lines were. Beside them, a language expert taught me how to express myself in the most pretentious way possible. The brushwork in this painting gives me a sense of inner peace. Or, the clash of colors reflects the artist's emotional struggle at the time. My head was spinning from listening. I felt like my brain wasn't mine anymore. Time remaining, 31 hours, 10 minutes. The next afternoon, at the City Art Museum, I was wearing a casual suit, holding a sketchbook and a pencil in my hand. Luckily, I know how to draw a little manga, even if I'm just a dabbler. Shan Ying's voice came through my earpiece. Target has entered Exhibition Hall 2 and is moving towards Hall 3. Lin Feng, get in position. I took a deep breath. I walked up to a painting in Exhibition Hall 3 and stopped. I took out my sketchbook and pretended to be immersed in my own world, sketching while secretly glancing at the entrance out of the corner of my eye. My heart was pounding. A faint, cool fragrance wafted over. Su Yuaning had arrived. She was strolling through the gallery alone, looking at the paintings with great concentration. I suppressed my nervousness and continued to pretend to draw. According to the plan, I was to accidentally drop my sketchbook as she passed by me. Inside were several copied Impressionist paintings. Of course, They were ghost-painted by an expert. I had just signed my name to them. Then, when Su Yuning noticed, I would start a professional conversation about the painting itself. And, naturally, Su Yuning drew closer and closer. My hand slipped, and the sketchbook fell with a thud not far from her feet. Su Yuning paused and glanced down. My heart leaped into my throat. Pick it up. Ask me about it. Stick to the script. However, Su Yuning merely gave the sketchbook on the floor a cursory glance before looking up again. Her cool gaze rested on my face for a moment. Without any reaction, she walked straight past me. Gone. I stood frozen on the spot. Plan A failed. The target is highly vigilant. No interaction initiated. Shanying's voice came through the earpiece. Execute Plan B. To your front left, the bottom right corner of that painting has an extremely subtle point of color discrepancy that the expert team just discovered. Walk over, stare at it, and make a soft sound of confusion. I pretended to casually wander over to the painting, narrowed my eyes, and feigned close examination. Then I let out a soft, huh. Su Yuning's steps faltered for a moment. My heart leaped again. Talk to her. Use the terminology the experts just taught you to comment on the color difference. Remember to sound puzzled, Shanying instructed. I turned and looked at Su Yuning. She had stopped a few meters away, looking at another painting. Excuse me, sorry to bother you. Miss Su, if you look at this painting, the shadow on the skirt in the bottom right corner, isn't the transition of the blue-gray a bit too abrupt? I remember Renoir's usual technique being much softer. Could it be an issue with the lighting for this exhibition? Or am I misremembering? I piled on every bit of the pitiful terminology I could remember, my palms slick with sweat. Su Yuning slowly turned around, her cool gaze falling on my face. Then she glanced at the painting. A few seconds later, she frowned slightly. The lighting angle is a bit off, but the root cause of the color difference is the uneven humidity during the canvas's pre-treatment, which led to subtle variations in pigment absorption. Su Yuning cut straight to the heart of the matter. It's not Renoir's fault, but a minor error during the preservation and restoration process. Me, expert team, you didn't tell me she was this professional. How am I supposed to follow that? There was a brief silence in my earpiece, followed by an expert's urgent whisper. Quick, affirm her statement, show that you've learned something, and then naturally extend the conversation. I quickly followed up. Oh, I see you've taught me something. Miss Su, your knowledge of Impressionism is truly profound. I put on an expression of admiration. I'm just an amateur enthusiast. I didn't expect you to be an expert, Miss Su. Hardly an expert. I just know a little, Su said faintly. After speaking, she seemed ready to end the conversation and turned to continue looking at the paintings. I grew anxious. Contact information, communication time. Neither goal has been met. Director Su, I was wondering if I could add you on WeChat, so I can have the opportunity to ask for your guidance on art appreciation in the future. I regretted being so direct, but I had no other choice. Su Yuning's steps halted, her beautiful eyes narrowing slightly. Clerk Lin, your hobbies are certainly wide-ranging. Cold sweat instantly trickled down my back. Target favorability, -42, it dropped another 2 points. Just when I thought I had completely screwed up and was ready to face my fate of bankruptcy, the lights in the art museum suddenly all went out. The exhibition hall was plunged into darkness. A few gasps from tourists sounded nearby. What's going on? Why did the power suddenly go out? I was startled too. This wasn't part of the plan. Lin Feng, unexpected power outage. This is an opportunity. Immediately confirm Su Yuning's position and safety. Shanying's voice was urgent. This is the perfect chance to create non-work-related concern. Be natural. I reacted at once, calling out softly in the direction where Su Yuning had been standing. Miss Su, are you all right? Her slightly tense voice came from the darkness. I'm fine. It's probably a circuit failure. Don't worry, the staff should handle it soon. I said with an appropriate amount of concern. Stay where you are and watch your step. Thank you. The darkness seemed to have lowered some of her defenses. Target favorability, -40, it went back up by 2 points. The darkness lasted for about 2 or 3 minutes. This brief moment together during an unexpected incident seemed more effective than all the deliberately crafted interactions before. Accumulated non-work-related communication time, 1 minute 5 seconds. Target met. The communication time was sufficient, but I still needed her contact information. The lights flickered back on. The power was restored. The tourists all breathed a sigh of relief. Su Yuning was standing just 2 or 3 steps in front of me. Just then, her phone rang. It was her assistant calling to check on the situation. She answered the call and said a few brief words. "Yes, I'm fine. The power went out, but it's back on now. Okay, I'll meet you at the entrance." After hanging up, Su Yuning hesitated for a moment. She took a business card from her handbag and handed it to me. "Thank you for comforting me just now. This is my personal number. We can discuss the art later." I suppressed my inner ecstasy and excitement, accepting the card with both hands. "Thank you, Miss Su. I've learned a great deal from our conversation today." Su Yuning gave a slight nod and turned to walk out of the exhibition hall. Target's private contact information acquired successfully. Mission complete. Reward issued. Complete set of basic theoretical data on neural interface microcontrol technology. Next stage of the mission will be issued in 24 hours. With the mission complete, I quickly left the art gallery. Success. The data is 100% complete. My God, this theory. Academician Shun was so excited he was incoherent. Chief Zhang let out a long breath. Good work, Lin Feng. The next day, new mission issued. Within 12 hours, invite the target, Su Yuning, to dinner and successfully make the target smile, a non-courteous smile, at least once. Mission success. Reward of quantum entanglement communicator design blueprints. Mission failure. One randomly selected system reward already issued will be reclaimed. The smile on my face vanished instantly. Invite Su Yuning to dinner and make her laugh, and, if I fail, a previously issued reward gets reclaimed. Isn't that equivalent to chopping off one of the country's arms? My vision went dark. "Chief, the mission is here. This time it's for quantum communication technology. If we fail, one of the previously given rewards will be randomly taken back." Chief Zhang immediately shouted, "All personnel, emergency assembly. Meeting." The atmosphere in the base was even more tense than last time. On the screen, a long list of Su Yuning's behavioral pattern analyses was displayed. A behavioral psychology expert said gravely, "According to our models, the success rate is less than 5%, especially the part about making Su Yuning laugh." "A quantum entanglement communicator," Academician Shin said excitedly. "It can ignore distance and is completely secure. This is the strategic grade of strategic grade technologies. Once applied, from deep space exploration to combat, the entire system will be revolutionized. So we must get this reward. We can't afford the consequences of failure." Chief Zhang slammed his fist on the table. Having any of the acquired technologies reclaimed would be a huge loss. This system is damn cunning. The invitation itself might have a chance, an intelligence analyst said quickly. The brief shared hardship during the blackout at the art gallery provides a reasonable pretext for a dinner invitation to discuss art. But making her laugh will be extremely difficult. The joke library. Immediately screen for jokes suitable for Su Yuning's personality and run emotional response simulations. Chief Zhang ordered. "Roger." Connecting to the country's top comedy writing teams for joint screening. A few minutes later, a list of jokes appeared on the tablet in front of me. From deadpan to dark humor, from academic puns to business-related quips. Each one was followed by a long string of psychological analysis. I looked at one of the examples. If Monet and Degas fell into the water, who would you save first? Save Monet, because Degas would produce his own gas. Analysis. This joke cleverly combines the similar-sounding name of an artist with a physical phenomenon, possessing an intellectual quality. Recommendation index, 3 stars. Me? My toes were already starting to curl in embarrassment. Reporting, Chief. Another communication channel cut in, the tone urgent. Emergency. We just received word that Su Yuning has booked a flight in 1 hour to handle urgent business for the M&A case. She's expected to be gone for 3 days. If she's not even going to be in the city, how the hell are we supposed to have dinner? Can we delay her flight? Or cancel her trip? Someone suggested. Someone immediately objected. We can't affect the travel plans of other passengers. Time remaining until mandatory mission deadline. 11 hours and 30 minutes. Just as everyone was at a loss, Shanning suddenly spoke up. Chief, I have a plan. Speak. The airport expressway has major traffic jams today due to an accident. There's also sudden low-altitude turbulence near the helicopter landing points, leading to a temporary no-fly zone. Su Yuaning's only option is to detour through the Old City District. Shan Ying's finger tapped a spot on the map. There's a shop here. Shan Ying zoomed in on the map. It was a small noodle shop. Old Chin's Noodles is a shop that Su Yuaning's late grandmother often took her to when she was young. She held a deep personal emotional attachment to this shop, but due to her status, she hadn't set foot in it for nearly a decade. Whenever she was under immense pressure or feeling down, her car would occasionally detour past this place, but she never got out. Everyone's eyes lit up in an instant. Emotional attachment, personal memories. This was more likely to touch her heart than any high-end restaurant. Chief Zhang, Lin Feng, your dinner invitation will be at this very Chen's Old Noodles. This is the only chance. What you need to do is not to add flowers to a brocade when she is radiant and glamorous, but to appear at the right moment in the place that holds her tender memories when she is tired and low. This is the most sophisticated kind of chance encounter. Immediately analyze the dishes Su Yuaning's grandmother used to order back then, replicate the taste, and arrange for our people to take control of the shop in advance and clear the premises, but leave no trace. A series of commands was issued. Lin Feng, you need to adjust your script. You are a gourmand who happened to discover this hidden gem of a shop and wanted to share it with someone. Running into Su Yuaning is a coincidence. The psychologist gave rapid instructions. Then, what about the jokes? I held the list of jokes. Forget those deliberate jokes. Forced humor will only seem comical. Sincerity is the ultimate weapon. Your core is to share a taste from memory, to trigger her emotional fluctuations through the environment and resonance. A smile might just come naturally. I was sitting by the window in Chen's Old Noodles, dressed in simple casual clothes. In front of me was a bowl of steaming hot noodles. The aroma of lard mixed with the mellow richness of soy sauce was simple yet appetizing. Mountain Eagle's voice came through the earpiece. Target vehicle has entered the Old Town route, 500 meters from the intersection. 200 meters. Slowing down, the vehicle has stopped. Through the glass window, I saw the familiar black car slowly pull over to the side of the road. The rear window rolled down halfway. Su Yuning gazed at the old sign, her eyes a little dazed. I pretended to have just noticed the car outside the window. I pushed open the shop door and walked to the car. Seeing me, a flicker of astonishment crossed Su Yuaning's eyes. Miss Su? What a coincidence. I tried to make my smile look natural. I didn't expect to run into you here. Mr. Lin, what are you doing here? Oh, I stumbled upon this noodle shop, and the taste is absolutely amazing. It's simple and unpretentious, but it has an indescribable warmth, like the taste of my grandma's cooking when I was a child. I said with feeling. Are you just passing by? Would you like to try some? It's really delicious. I extended the invitation, my heart pounding wildly. Su Yuaning's gaze went past me to the small shop. She was silent for a few seconds. Target favorability, -39. It went up a little. There's a chance. Su Yuaning pushed open the car door. All right, I happen to be a little hungry. She actually got out of the car. I quickly followed behind her. Su Yuaning sat down in the seat opposite me. Her haute couture outfit stood in stark contrast to the humble surroundings. Soon, the noodles she ordered arrived. Do you come to this shop often? I tentatively started a conversation. I used to come here a lot as a child. Su Yuaning picked up a pair of disposable chopsticks and broke them apart. Later, not so much. She didn't say much more, lowered her head to gently blow on the hot steam, and took a sip of the noodle soup. Her movement paused slightly. She looked up. This taste. It's special, right? I quickly chimed in. I can't quite put my finger on what's so good about it, but it's just comforting to eat, and it puts my heart at ease. Su Yuaning gave me a deep look, but said nothing more. She lowered her head and ate the noodles in small bites. She ate very slowly, very seriously. In the small noodle shop, only the sound of slurping noodles remained. I looked at her and, as if possessed, said in a low voice, sometimes it seems people just inexplicably miss a certain taste. You can't say it's that delicious, but you just crave it. And when you think of it, you have to have a bite, as if only then can that empty place in your heart be filled. This was a genuine sentiment from my own experience of wandering alone and occasionally thinking of the street food stalls back home. Su Yuaning's hand, holding the chopsticks, froze. She looked up at me. The dim yellow light in the shop fell on her face. In those eyes that were always cool and calm, something seemed to flicker slightly, like a warm current flowing quietly under a layer of ice. Su Yuaning turned her head to the side, and the corner of her mouth curved upwards. It wasn't a full smile, just a tiny bit of a curve. It was fleeting, so fast that it made one doubt if they had seen it at all. But it was real enough, not a polite smile. Target has shown a genuine smile. Mission requirement has been met. Invitation for the target to dine together is successful. Reward issued. Quantum entanglement communicator design schematics have been transmitted to the host brain and automatically backed up to the designated research server. Success. It actually succeeded. I fought back the urge to jump up, struggling to maintain a calm expression on my face. Su Yuaning returned to her usual coolness. She picked up a napkin and wiped the corner of her mouth. Thank you for the recommendation, Mr. Lin. Su Yuaning stood up. The taste really hasn't changed. I should get to the airport now. I quickly rose to see her off. Target's favorability. -35. Watching the car drive away, I sat back down in my chair and breathed a sigh of relief. Through my earpiece, academician Chen's voice came through. Heaven bless China. Director Zhang also let out a long sigh. Well done, Lin Feng. That was a truly risky move. I felt like I had just cheated death again. However, I hadn't even finished exhaling my sigh of relief. Within 6 hours, establish 5 minutes of physical contact with the target. Su Yuaning, holding hands, hugging, etc. The target must not show strong resistance. Mission success. Reward, anti-gravity engine. Mission failure. The host will randomly acquire a permanent negative physiological trait, e.g., body odor, stuttering, facial tics, etc. Me? The joy of my recent escape from death instantly vanished. Physical contact? Su Yuaning's favorability towards me is -35. Isn't this asking me to pat a tiger's butt and then cuddle with it to sleep? And if I fail, I'll become a stutterer or have a facial paralysis. My vision went black. Director, I spoke into the microphone. The system is at it again. The reward this time is an anti-gravity engine. If I fail, I might become a walking biological weapon. The base's strategic analysis room erupted in chaos. 5 minutes of physical contact within 6 hours? That's impossible. The behavioral psychology expert looked on the verge of a breakdown. This is completely beyond the scope of psychological guidance. Forcing contact will only cause her favorability to plummet instantly. An anti-gravity engine. Academician Chen's face was a mask of incredulous shock. That's the ticket to the interstellar age. But this price, it's a price we can't afford to pay. Director Zhang was agitated. Inflicting any negative trait on Lin Feng would not only be a devastating blow to him personally, but it could also severely impact the execution of future missions. This system is cutting off our path of retreat. The target is already heading to the airport and is about to leave the city. It's impossible for her to return within 6 hours. The intelligence officer's report was like pouring salt on the wound. A dead end. An air of suffocating despair filled the conference room. Time remaining until mission deadline. 5 hours and 58 minutes. Time ticked by, like a noose tightening little by little. I sat in the noodle shop, my fingers unconsciously picking at the rough edge of the wooden table. A splinter pierced the flesh under my nail, bringing a small, sharp pain. What should I do? Should I go to the airport and forcibly hug Su Yuaning for 5 minutes? The likely outcome would be getting my head bashed in by her bodyguards. And I have to do it without her feeling repulsed. Or should I give up? Wait to become a guy with bad breath or a facial tic, and watch as a technology capable of propelling our nation forward just slips away. A powerful wave of indignation and unwillingness washed over me. This damn system, it forced me to be a hooligan, and now it wants to strip away my humanity. Suddenly, an idea flashed through my mind. With the do-or-die resolve of someone burning their bridges, I spoke into the microphone. Director, I have an idea that might exploit a loophole in the system. Speak. Director Zhang's response was immediate, filled with the urgency of an all-or-nothing gamble. The system requires 5 continuous minutes of physical contact with the target, and it gives examples like holding hands or hugging. But it doesn't specify the method or the context of the contact. I spoke quickly. What if we create a situation, a scenario, where Su Yuaning has to accept my physical contact and might even need me to maintain it? For example, medical aid. Someone from the intelligence team chimed in. We have something. Su Yuaning has a weak stomach and suffers from frequent stomach pains. Director Zhang slammed his hand on the table. Get the target's flight information immediately and arrange an adjacent seat for Linfo. Medical team, provide remote guidance on acupressure techniques. Operations team, prepare contingency plans for all possible emergencies. Moo. An hour later, holding my ticket, I boarded the plane early through a special channel. When she boarded and saw me in first class, a flash of surprise crossed her eyes. She gave a slight nod, sat down, and put on an eye mask, seemingly planning to sleep the whole way. Time remaining until mission deadline, 4 hours and 10 minutes. The plane took off smoothly. A few minutes later, I was pretending to read a magazine when I suddenly heard a pain groan from beside me. Su Yuaning's face was frighteningly pale, with beads of cold sweat on her forehead. One hand was pressed against her upper abdomen, her body slightly curled up. Miss Su, what's wrong? I asked at once with concern. Su Yuaning's brow was furrowed in pain, her lips slightly white. My stomach, suddenly, feels very bad. Is it a sharp pain? Was it something you ate earlier? I asked quickly, pressing the call button at the same time. Someone here isn't feeling well. The flight attendant hurried over, but the medical facilities on the plane were limited, offering only hot water and simple painkillers. Su Yuaning took the medicine, but the pain didn't seem to ease in the slightest. Instead, it intensified with the turbulence of the plane. She couldn't help but let out a low groan, her body slumping uncontrollably to one side. I said to Su Yuaning, I know a bit of massage for acute stomach cramps. Let me try. Su Yuaning was in too much pain to speak. With one hand, I steadied her shoulder, following the real-time guidance of a medical expert through my earpiece. My other hand found the Naguan acupoint on the inside of her wrist and began to knead it with moderate pressure. The touch of her skin was cool and delicate under my fingertips. Su Yuaning's body tensed for a moment, and she subconsciously tried to pull away. Relax, Miss Su, try to relax. Pressing this acupoint is effective for relieving cramps, but it needs to be done for a little while. Perhaps the pain was unbearable, or maybe my demeanor was overly righteous and professional. Su Yuaning's tense body slowly relaxed, no longer resisting my touch. Physical contact established. Duration, 1 minute. 2 minutes. Time passed slowly. Su Yuaning's eyelashes fluttered, revealing a hint of vulnerability. Current favorability, -30. It actually went up. Duration, for minutes. For minutes, 30 seconds. Su Yuaning suddenly drew a sharp breath. The spasmodic, cramping pain receded. A bit of color returned to Su Yuaning's pale face. Her furrowed brows smoothed out, and her breathing became steady. She seemed to find it hard to believe the pain had vanished just like that. She subconsciously moved her wrist. I immediately let go, a look of relief on my face. Feeling better, Miss Su? Su Yuaning slowly sat up, taking a moment to assess herself. She looked up at me in surprise. Much better. Her voice was a little hoarse. Thank you, Mr. Lin. Your technique is very effective. Physical contact duration reached 5 minutes. Target did not exhibit strong resistance. Reward dispensed. Anti-gravity engine, complete set of preliminary principles has been transmitted to the host brain and automatically backed up to the designated research server. Warning, final mission initiating. What? Another mission? What kind of twisted mission is it this time? Can't you just leave me alone? I really can't take this anymore. Being forced by the system to complete these conquest missions is a direct challenge to my moral bottom line. Deceiving an innocent, unsuspecting woman weighs heavily on my conscience. I might as well just take the system down with me. System energy, fluctuating abnormally. Final, BZZZ, mission error, data overflow. Higher dimensional link unstable. Source, BZZZT, code analysis. Human will, incalculable. A series of fragmented, chaotic messages flooded my mind, along with a soul-tearing headache. I clutched my head, letting out a pained grunt as cold sweat instantly soaked my clothes. Lin Feng? What's wrong? Su Yuaning, who had just recovered, was startled by my state. She reached out to steady my arm. Target favorability 1, but I could no longer care about the favorability rating. The intense headache and the system's static lasted for 10 seconds. Then, it returned to normal. No, it was complete silence. The system, which had been a constant presence in my mind like a plague, was gone. Utterly and completely silent, as if it had never existed. I froze on the spot, my mind a complete blank. It's over? Just like that? Did we exploit a bug so hard that we broke it? Countless questions tumbled through my mind. Mr. Lin? Are you all right? Su Yuaning's voice was laced with concern. I snapped back to reality and forced a smile. I'm fine. Just a sudden headache, but it's gone now. She gave me a thoughtful look and slowly withdrew her hand. Thank you so much for today. You're too kind, Miss Su. I only did what I should have. The rest of the journey ended in a silent atmosphere. As soon as we disembarked, Su Yuaning's assistant and bodyguards immediately surrounded her. She nodded at me before being escorted away by her entourage. I was met by a group of people who had been waiting for me at the airport. Back once again in the underground base, Chief Zhang, Academician Shun, and a group of other high-ranking officials were all waiting there. Every face held a mixture of anticipation and unease. The system. I think it's gone. Gone. They all looked at each other in disbelief. The moment the mission was completed, it issued a series of chaotic warnings, mentioned source code analysis, and then the link just broke. Academician Chen immediately rushed to the monitoring equipment. Quick! Scan Comrade Lin Feng's brain activity characteristics and compare them with the previous data. A few minutes later, the results were out. The abnormal high-dimensional energy fluctuation signal has completely disappeared, and the binding state has been lifted. Academician Shun was both surprised and delighted. We succeeded. We succeeded. Not only did we obtain the anti-gravity technology, but we also broke free from its control. The entire control center erupted in cheers in an instant. Many people were moved to tears of joy. Chief Zhang patted my shoulder heavily, his eyes also a little red. Good lad, well done. You are a hero of the country. I also let out a long sigh of relief. A sense of ease flooded my whole body, as if a 1,000-pound burden had been lifted. Finally free. But an old general in charge of information security frowned and spoke. What does the source code analysis mentioned by the system at the end mean? Was its sudden disappearance an accident, or? The cheers gradually subsided, and a solemn expression reappeared on everyone's faces. Chief Zhang pondered for a moment. Whatever the reason, we have gained a breathing space and also obtained 4 crucial technologies, which is a strategic advantage. Now, our task is no longer to woo some female CEO, but to devote the entire nation's efforts to digesting, absorbing, and applying these technologies so that they can truly become the cornerstone of national rejuvenation. At the same time, establish a top-level high-dimensional phenomenon research institute to fully study the remaining data fragments of the system. We must figure out its origin, purpose, and what the source code really means. We must be prepared with countermeasures in case the system returns. The meeting ended, and everyone left to carry out their orders. The chief gave me a long vacation. I'll have to continue working for the country when the system appears again. I walked to the observation deck, looking at the night sky and the myriad lights of the distant city. Starlight sprinkled down. The future is as vast as the boundless starry sky. The end.